Well, hello there. Do my best Star Wars meme joke impression. Not very good at it. I think it's time to go over to the painting desk, right? Yeah, here we go. That's what we're painting. Check that out. Hold on, here I am too. Hello. Welcome back to the Crimson Bench. It's time to do some terrain. We just got done with the Castellan. That was a whole lot of work. We did our Black Templar. That was a good time. Got him done relatively quickly too. And tonight I aim to have both of these terrain pieces painted up and ready for game. I think I'll probably be playing this Sunday. Not on stream, but I might be playing the game on Sunday. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out for me. I've got them base coated already, or undercoated, as some people might call them. I primed it in Abaddon Black on the base portion of it. That's going to be more of a concrete kind of color that I'm aiming for on those. And then we'll be doing like the additional, kind of like stone alabaster. There's a term for it. I forgot what it's called, but that's how we're painting the statues. They're going to be pretty grimy, pretty filthy, and maybe pick out a couple of spots on them too that we want to do some metallics and things on, just to give it a little bit of flavor, a little bit of taste, a little something fun, a little spin on it. But we're going to clean up the base coats a little bit. We got a little bit of light work. Unfortunately, I'm not a professional spray painter, and I gotta clean up the separation right there. So we will get into it with the Abaddon Black. Some of that on my palette. These were primed not that long ago, so they still got that good. Hold on 1 second. Turn my monitor. There we go. Still got that nice primer stink to them. Feeling pretty good painting the models, like breathing in thinner and lacquer all over again. Good bit of that on the wet palette, maybe a little bit more. Go. I keep forgetting to grab myself a new napkin. Close that bad boy back off. Make sure your fingers are clean. They are. We're getting a nice wide brush to do this base coating on. I don't know the name of this one. It's one I've had forever. I think I got it from Walmart ages ago. All that matters is that it's flat and it's wide. So put this one off to the side. Over here. Work on this bad boy. So I'm just going to go and hit all of the surfaces that I got a little bit of overspray on. We're going to keep this relatively simple. It is just terrain, although it will be one of the more commonly looked at pieces of terrain. So I might put just a little bit of effort into it just to make it look. We want it to look decent, It's no Anheuser Gates, but they will still be on probably just about every single table, come to think of it. They fit into the center of the medium-sized terrain footprint. One of those. They're going to be what goes in the middle of them. And And I think I'm going to flank them on either side with the barricade portion of the top of a bastion, because I've got one of those too. Magnetize those pieces so they are just the right height and the right size and footprint for that little piece of terrain. It'll make more sense later on. Maybe we'll do those too. I don't know. Not tonight, but at some point in the future. We can have a lot of fun with those as well. Maybe we'll do some little pictures on them. Some posters. Seen plenty of those online. They're a lot of fun to do. I'd always kind of wanted to do little things like that just to add a little bit of extra flavor to it. I haven't come to a decision yet as to whether or not I want to put water in this fountain, or maybe something a little crazier like blood coming out of the skulls instead. Although part of me thinks that's not very agnostic, you know. I'm not playing World Eaters. Actually don't even know a single World Eaters player. Like a rare breed. Must be too angry to go outside. Making quick work out of this. But hey, you know, if you're there, let me know. I know I've got a lot of people from YouTube that watch. Say something. Or don't, you know. Keep to yourself. Keep your secrets. Just watch in silence. That works too. Say whatever you want. If you don't like the cut of my jib. Just working along here. I think I might have to get a little bit more on the palette. Still have the second statue to do. Alright, so we need to get a little bit more careful. This thing is so heavy it wants to come off on its own. Go. Looks like I'm just holding it. The spot does not want to take paint as well as the other places did. I wonder why. We're going to be coming back and be doing a lot of dry brushing. We'll clean up the wraith bone that I have up top as well. Then we'll be washing the whole thing and then doing some dry brushing. So I want to kind of keep like a concrete thing going for the pedestal itself. Maybe we'll paint the skulls with some Xandru dust, get some bone color going for them. I don't really have a set plan. I have an idea, but I don't have a concrete, very funny, concrete plan yet as to what I want to do. So I think we're just kind of going, figuring it out as we go. I like that. It's good every now and then to just paint something with no recipe, no end game vision before you even begin. Just kind of go. Paint as you go. Crazy with it, you know? Show some of your creativity. Thinking maybe I put some casings and like bolter casings inside of the well. Go. That looks pretty clean to me. Give our brush a good rinse real quick. Make sure that black doesn't settle into the bristles too much. And gonna move on to the other one. Pop this bad boy off the stump too. Go. We'll start cleaning this up. Definitely gonna have to put some more Abaddon black on the palette. I'm not too terribly concerned with putting a second coat onto this. I don't think it's going to need it. Once we start washing and dry brushing everything, it's all going to get covered up anyway. So we should be good to go. Don't even think we're going to be washing the black to begin with. We're just going to go straight into dry brushing highlights and everything over top of it. Maybe we'll come in and pick out some metallic details and some gold. Like I see we have some Achilles around the base. And those look like rivets. Here are the skulls. We'll probably paint those and pick those out. And maybe we'll do a band of metal around this part right here. That looks like it should be metallic. Yep, it's starting to pick up the wraith bone. It hasn't dried completely yet. Do need to get more paint on my palette. Okay. I do have 2 of them, so we are going to be going through a lot of the steps twice. Just in case you missed it the first time. Just cleaning up our base coats right now. This is Abaddon black. This may not match the primer exactly. In fact, we don't even want it to, at least not for the purposes of painting this miniature. We're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to let it give it just a slight bit of some color variation on our statue. I am going pretty thick with this on here. We have a lot of large surface areas to paint. Not a lot of detail to cover it up. Or not a lot of detail to cover up with a thick coat of paint, so just trying to get through this as quickly as possible. I gotta finish this guy tonight. Working our way around town. And now for the top of its little pedestal. I do want to make sure that we get a nice solid black coat here at the top, because you'll be able to see that. So I'm going to go back and put a second coat on the other statue too, just to make sure that we are good to go. I'm very quickly going to apply a coat of Wraithbone all over the statue. It was primed in Wraithbone. Looks good to me. Back over to the other one. Now that this is dry, this is the second coat going on. I'll make sure we get that nice solid black color. Blow off the other one, clean the brush a little bit, and hopefully use what's left on the palette to be able to clean up what's left of this one and apply the second coat. Don't want to get any more on the palette. Any more would be a waste. So let me get out the miniature hairdryer. We're going to speed this up a little bit. Amazingly fast. And just like that, it's dry. Unlike anything you've ever seen before. Just witnessed magic here on the Crimson Bench. Please don't tell the Inquisition. I just don't have the time for it. And we have to put a little bit more on the palette. At this point, I might as well just do another base coat on the other statue as well. We'll go for 3 because I want it to be nice and solid. Don't want any of the primer showing up underneath of it. That way we get a nice strong contrast. I do only stream on Wednesday nights. At some point, I will go back to adding Sundays to that list as well. I used to play the game live on Sundays on stream too. Had to stop because I moved and have not had the opportunity to reset up the whole kit caboodle. It's the overhead camera, honestly. That is such a nightmare to line up and get perfectly in line with the table. Oh my god. It has taken me hours and hours to get that set up. And it was just such a pain in the butt. Like, people would come in, I'd be like, for the love of God, don't touch the camera. Don't even look at it. Don't bump it. Stay away from the tripod. Just leave it alone. But we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that soon. I'm trying to look into some ways to make it a little bit smoother in gameplay too. I've been looking at some of the little stream decks and things that people use so that I can remotely control the stream controls and make it easier and faster to like add command points and keep track of objectives and stuff like that. But that'll be back at some point. I think I'm gonna be in this spot a little bit longer, so I can actually start setting things up, like the camera and the table. Otherwise, maybe rarely on a Sunday, especially with all of the new stuff that's coming out, like Dawn of War 4 and Warhammer, not Warhammer Fantasy. I don't know what it is. I can't remember what it's called. It's so difficult to describe. It's like whatever other large Total War 40K is coming out soon too, and I really want to play those. So if I'm going to be doing 40K stuff, I may as well be streaming it too. So I'll probably be playing that on Sundays if I'm not doing the tabletop games once I get all that set up. So we got the Abaddon Black base coat fixed up on these guys. We're looking pretty clean. We're looking crisp. I like it. We've got a nice visual separation from the Wraithbone, so I'm going to get a little bit of Wraithbone on my palette. Thank you for joining me again, by the way, and coming back. It's always good to see familiar names. Got to get myself a second camera. I'm kind of tight right now because I have two cameras. The one I'm using for the miniature painting right now, and that one. That one used to be the overhead on the table. So if I get one more camera, do I get an actual good what do they call it, DLSR camera or something like that, to take a higher fidelity image of what I'm painting, or is this a high enough quality for what it is I'm doing already, and then use this one for the table, or put it over there on my actual desktop and everything, so I'm not having to move a face cam back and forth all the time if I'm going to be doing the games and stuff. Come on. Alright, I learned this lesson last stream. Or I had to review it, actually. If you squeeze the dropper bottle and the paint does not immediately come out, do not squeeze it harder, because it will come out. Just not in the way you want it to. Okay. Put the Wraithbone away. So this was primed in Wraithbone. We're going to be touching it up in Wraithbone. Especially down here towards the bottom, where I tried to keep it a little bit separate from the Abaddon Black while I was priming it. You can definitely see the difference in the color here. I'm always very careful when I try to prime with light colors like Wraithbone or Bracier or anything like that. You definitely want to give it multiple thin coats, because if you don't, you'll get chalkiness. And that's the spray version of it that I'm talking about. You can get that in the painted, version of it as well. Just multiple thin coats, period, with all colors, but especially your whites and lighter colors, because they'll let you know if you don't. I was actually trying to gear up to play Space Marine 2 with Custodes. I thought I had Space Marine 2 installed, but I didn't. I do now. Gonna try to give that a shot again. I think I was having a little bit of a struggle because I have one of those ultra-wide monitors on my PC, which, I mean, it is pretty cool, but not every game is formatted for it, and that is one of them, so it is very difficult to try to do certain things. Working around here. I think I had a lot of problems with blocking and melee and everything like that, which kind of drives me nuts because I used to watch streamers all the time that would fail at quick time events. And it would always make me so mad. And now here I am with the ultra wide, not able to do them myself, not because I'm slow, but because my monitor is making it more hard. I don't know how to describe it. My lobster is too buttery. My steak, too moist. Try to keep it in the shot over here. Not dip the paintbrush in the black. That would be a nightmare. Just keep going around here with our Wraithbone. If it is not a perfect coat, that is okay. Like I said before, we do want just a little bit of some color variation. I think it'll help it look a little bit better in the end. Thinking about doing the halo in gold. Probably do silver or gold on the chains. And I'll do the sword in silver as well. Alright, he's looking pretty good. You can see the difference it makes. Well, not really, but whatever. You get the idea. I'm not crazy, I swear. It makes a difference. I would like to stream more nights, though. That would be really nice. I do try to keep myself busy off stream, but you know, I like a good painting session. Turns out I got quite a few models, so I've got plenty to paint. Wish I had more time to do it. In fact, if I could do this full time, that would be outstanding too, but that seems to be the dream nowadays. Try to get around here in these little crevices. Nice chain, man. Maybe we'll do the book in a different color too. I like the idea of painting the objects that he's holding different from himself. It makes me think of the old Basilicanum statue sets that they did a long time ago. My local game store has a couple of them, and it usually make their way onto the table anytime we play. But they're very old, they're very beat up, they're not painted very well, and I kind of want to take them home. And I can't, so I got the next best thing. We are running out of paint, which is fine by me because I think we are about just enough to get done applying some base coats to this guy. Okay. So we're going to hit the first one with the miniature hair dryer. Hurry up and speed up the drying process. And then we're going to drown it. We're going to drown it with, actually. What am I going to do? Maybe do shop debone look like against this right now? Here you are. maybe we'll do a layer. We'll do a heavy dry brush of shop debone. A heavy dry brush of it. Then we're going to water down some Seraphim Sepia and spread it all over. With that, actually need to, I do have a dry palette just for this. I'm going to be using Army Painter's Masterclass Mighty Dry Brush for our dry brushing. And I have a very used dry palette just for this. Oh, I'm going to dry it first. Bear with me, hold on. It's genius. It's not hot. I run it no heat or very low heat. Just dries all the paint super fast. I wouldn't use it on washes, or if you do use it like something like this with a wash, put some distance on it. That way you're not pushing the wash around. Dry off the other one too. Alright, put that back away. And I think I don't have any paint that's going to come off on this dry brush. Clean it very well. I think we're good to go. So put some shop debone on our palette here. Any old spot will do. We'll dab the dry brush into it. Work it into those bristles. Dab it around. Alright, here we go. That's what I want. We're gonna heavy dry brush this thing. I mean, we are going in there. All over the place. Comparison, so you can see it's a little bit yellowed. Got a little bit more depth to it. see if we can get any more of that off the dry palette. Go to town on number 2. Just a little bit more on the palette for this. Really work it into those bristles. Go. Just keep on going. Nice heavy dry brush. Give it a little bit of flavor. And it looks like it's covered in Cheeto dust. It's just a little bit darker than this one. Just try to even it up. Just a smidge. Really work it around there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Now we can see more of the definition, more of the detail. Trying to knock as much of this paint off of the brush as we can. Alright, looks good. So, we'll go back to the wet palette now. We have base coated them, or primed them with Wraith Bone, and then base coated with Wraith Bone, and we give it a nice heavy dry brush of Ushabti Bone. And we're going to take our Seraphim Sepia, and we're going to thin it down. You know, to a consistency that feels right. We don't want to like completely wash over the entire model, but we just want to, you know, and in fact, I'd almost say if you have it, which I thought I did, get Lamy in the medium, which I don't think I have anymore, but if I remember correctly, it's just some type of acrylic. Check it out real quick. We can get some matte acrylic, which I think I do have. Just 1 second. Let me grab it. Somewhere in my collection of treasures. Just looked at it earlier too. That's the funny part. I wonder if it's any good. I've had this bottle for so long. It still shakes. It must be. I have Galeria Acrylic Medium's Matte Medium. That's what we're going to try to use for this. I'll put some on the palette. We'll see how it goes. Of course, Seraphim Sepia is already pretty thin. This is what we're rocking right here. So we're just fingering it out right now. Woo! Feel some of that off the top. This one. little bit of that onto the pallet. And we would put a little bit on it if it hadn't dried in the tip. That's okay. Just get the poker back out. Around that little piece of dried, big piece of dried acrylic. Whoa. Come on out of there, man. Yeah, I guess that's what happens if you let it sit for too long. I'm just gonna push it back in and hope it doesn't clog it up. There we go. Whatever. Woo! I think that is enough. We'll see what happens. We'll get our Seraphim Sepia. Given a nice mix. That is a lot of it, actually. It's alright. We're alright. We'll be alright. I believe. Take our wide brush that we have earlier and get a good amount of this out of the pot and onto the wet palette. Probably going to go about 50-50 with this. And before I apply it to the model, I'm actually going to test it out on something else first, as everyone should do when they're unsure of how something is going to work before they put it on their nicely painted stuff. So I still have this nice and mixed on the brush. I'm actually going to just try it on my stump here. Or give it the old thumbnail. Actually looks pretty good. I think we nailed it. It's about a 50-50 mix. So we'll go to the model now. We want to start from the top and stroke downwards. That way it collects in that direction. Or you can just kind of go all over the place, make sure you get it in all the recesses. We don't want this to pool in any one given location, except for maybe these cracks and these creases down here. That looks like a good spot for it. Should may not have mixed up enough. I have to just a little bit more. It seems that's just enough for one statue's worth. Get it all up in that face. Look at it all over the book and everything like that too. We can just paint over it later if we don't like the way it looks. We are moving relatively quick with this. We're just pushing it around all over the place, making sure nothing pools anywhere that's not a recess. don't miss any spots. I think we're looking pretty good. Actually going to draw some of this and place it more intentionally into some of the cracks in it. I didn't use straight Seraphim Sepia for this because A, it would have been too much. I mean, that's a lot to use on a piece of terrain. That stuff's expensive in this economy. And too dark, too heavy. We're going to leave that just like that at the top of the hood. Keep that there because when we go back and we dry brush it with Pallid Witch Flesh, it's going to catch the edges of those highlights and give us more contrast at the top. So you can see the difference. I do like a good side-by-side. Actually there on the back, all the little details, all the folds in the robe, especially visible now. I'm going to clean my brush up and we'll mix just a little bit more of that together. That was very good. I might have to use that for more stuff here in the future. I've got a lot of terrain pieces I'd like to paint for some crazy ideas I've had in the past. And I think I might have found a pretty decent solution with that. And having a whole lot of wash for whole big pieces of terrain. Where did I just put you? It's a big yellow bottle. There it is. A lot of paints. Go. Should be enough of that. And down for the Seraphim Sepia. I'll give you an idea of how this is mixing on the palette too. I feel like not a lot of people do that. Something I'm going to start doing is playing that over. Don't judge me, the palette's filthy, okay? Everybody says. Get off my back. Just plot this out here. We want to get 50-50, so we're going to get just a bunch of the same size. Here we go. Give it a nice mix. Get that nice, sweet caramel brown. Kind of makes me think of coffee a little bit. You know what? Now I think, but it does look a little coffee stained, doesn't it? Make sure we're good and mixed up. No acrylic medium left behind, and none of the Seraphim Sepia left too dark. And we'll go to the model with this, put that back to the side. And just as we did the other one. My brush was quite loaded with that, so we're just going to continue to use that and push it around. Let's keep on moving. I don't have any fans or anything like that out of my room, so it gets a little warm in here, but that is on purpose. Do not want any of this to dry out any faster than I want it to. Gives me the chance to still go around with my brush and kind of push all of this around and do what I want with it. Said we're painting over all of the details in case we do or don't decide to come back and paint over them later. And I think we are good with him. I'm going to have some of this and draw it back into the cracks again. Clean out some of that skull too. Don't need all that in there. There we go. And make sure there's no spots that were missed. Probably just a little bit more down here. There we go. We look good. Oh, here they are so far. Very nice. This would normally take a very long time to dry, and it will, but we're not going to wait on that because we're painting two different colors on this model. We're going to go on to the next color, the black. Now, we're going to do, but before we do that, we've made quite a bit of mess with all of our dry brushing. I'm going to sop up the wash that's ran out of the bottom here with the dry brush, or the brush that is dry, not the dry brush. And we still have some Abaddon black. We'll clean up all of the dry brush shavings with that. My mind says shavings, but it's more like dust. The dry brush dust. Okay. Clean that bad boy off. May take a minute for the wash to dry. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Don't want to be here forever. A quick sip of my drink. Whew. And we'll look at the black now. These are supposed to be concrete in a way. How I'm going to do that concrete, that's what I gotta figure out. What's it called in universe? It's not plasteel. Hello, Derpits. Well, there's only one way to learn how to paint, and that's to just start. If you end up doing a bad paint job, you can always strip it and start over. Unless you use like enamels or something like that, then there ain't no really stripping that. But, you know, whatever. Whew. I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to do something like that. To, you know, metal and do like oxidization. oxidization and everything on it, but I thought this would be a little bit better, at least for these guys. I too have one of those big, like, angelic sister models or whatever that they did with that church set they did a while ago. I'm too scared to touch it. This is kind of like my soft launch on statue painting techniques, so I'd like to try to do something like that in the future. We'll see. And I also really like the idea of making the parts of the statue that are high enough for people to touch, like super clean and super polished and everything, so you can see where their hands have been and where people come up and touch the statue, even though they shouldn't. That's heresy. Right, what was I doing? Dry brushing the black. I'm going to look at some of my colors I have here. Mechanicus Standard. Administratum Gray. We'll probably do Mechanicus Standard and then do a highlight of Administratum Gray. Here's what these are. The painting's not too hard. Don't be scared. If you're really unsure, you really want something to practice on, go to your dollar store, whatever cheapest chips place you have locally, and buy a set of plastic army men. Or, you know, I got lucky during Halloween time and ended up picking up a set of mummies. Those mummies were my test bed for anything I didn't want to put on a $40 to $50 model. There's a whole lot of neat things that you can do. It's, you know, the sky's the limit. And how much time you have. If I had infinite time, all of this stuff would just look incredibly glorious, but lo, I'm but man. Okay, we will get the Mechanicus Standard Gray onto the dry palette. Woo! Just throwing stuff around up here. And we're gonna go all over this whole dark area with this Mechanicus Standard Gray. We're gonna go pretty heavy with it, like we did the Ushopti Bone earlier over the Wraith Bone. I'm full of great ideas. Stick around. Every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ask me questions. I got answers. Just a complete font of information. I learned all of this the hard way so that you don't have to. Welcome to the Crimson Bench. Get that into the dry brush. This is the Army Painter Mighty Dry Brush I had earlier. Get it into our bristles. Now, you know, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do the dry brushing. If I had the paper towel nearby, I'd be using that to take some of the moisture off the brush, but some people tell you not to do that. It's kind of, I don't really know how to feel about it, because I tried both, and I feel like they're both crappy. I'm never happy with the results of dry brushing. There we go, that's good. And we're gonna go in on this thing. More sticking and pulling down. Poking it and pulling it down. We don't want to completely cover the black. We do still want to have some of this color visible. You can see how it falls off the brush. This is where we started. This is where we ended, so make sure you keep your dry brush topped off. just using mostly downward strokes for this. I saw your message in the chat. I'll check it out here in the moment. I just wanted to make sure I could get all the paint off this brush. Or at least get done with this little portion of it. Go around until we're satisfied, which I think I am. And then I'm going to get the bottom of this as well. See, the problem that I have sometimes is that it's like we're still wet on the brush, so I end up not actually dry brushing anything. I just paint a single stroke of the wet paint down the miniature and then get nothing else out of it. Here we go. Okay, that's our dry brushing. This is just the Mechanicus Standard Gray. Last time I did it was 2nd edition. Build some orcs and start on it. We'll do my sisters when I get more confident. Hey, sisters are tough. I got a whole boatload of them, but they're kind of like my what do they call it? There's a word for it. My my magnum opus army, I guess, if you want to refer to them like that. Not a single one of those models isn't going to have a painstakingly large amount of detail in them. I think I'm like 9/10 of the way done with Celestine. I did not the Immolator, the other version of the Immolator. The tank with the organ and the pipe organ and everything on that. I did that. That looks incredible. I love how that came out. I did my... Where's she at? She's still here. I can't remember it. Every time I bring it up on stream, I can't remember the name of the model. Oh my god. I hate myself. What are you called? Yeah, the Exorcist, that's the one with the pipe organs on it. This is like the captain equivalent of the sisters. Do you know? Do you know the answer? The superior is the squad leaders, like the sergeant equivalent. This is killing me. I gotta put it to the side. Go back to your spot on the table. I actually need to put them back in the display case. I can't believe I can't remember what it's called. Yes! It's the Canoness. This is the Canoness, yep. Completely magnetized her. Every option is painted. I did OSL on her base and everything like that. They're all going to look like that. I've got custom bases for all of them. I love the idea of like the marble finish tile that they're on with the gold symbols and, you know, candles and everything all over the place, bouncing light off their metallics, off their robes. Really makes them look like they're alive. Like, I don't know if I'd ever bring them to anything like a tournament, but because I don't want people to touch them. They could probably bring it to like an RTT or bring like 1 or 2 of them for like painting competitions at local tournaments. So she hasn't seen the light of day yet. But next time there's a local with a painting competition, I'm bringing that little lass. I got a good feeling. She's gonna take me to the win. brought my Imperial Knight last night, the Gantrathor. And won with that. That was a really good time. I like that model. It came out really well. Actually gonna do just a little bit more of this dry brushing to try to even it out with the absolute mess I made the first go round. But you know, if the last time you painted something was in 2nd edition, the second best time to start painting is right now. Just get on it. Unless that means you have to leave the stream. Which if it does, that's okay too. You know, you don't have to stay here. You know, do whatever you want, actually. I'm not your dad. Follow your heart. I'm getting no luck with this. I think I need to take some time and practice my dry brushing again. I don't get to do it very often, so I need to bust out a couple of cheapos or try to do some couple pieces of some terrain that I've got and just dry brush the heck out of it. That looks good. This is the other model now. Just gonna work it down in circles. Down nice and low. Try and sneak in and get those steps. Thank you for the subscription, by the way. I look forward to seeing you more in the future. I'll have a seat saved for you here on the Crimson Bench to keep it warm. Oh. It's just a lot of patience, a lot of practice, and a lot of confidence, I guess. You know, that's a good way to say it. I had somebody I used to paint at one of the local game stores. I'd go out there every now and then when I didn't have anything to do. And there was a couple of locals that would be there every now and then to paint, and somebody told me that I brush very confidently. I paint very confidently. I was like, well, you know, what's the worst thing you do? Mess it up? So I went a little overboard on that one, but I think that's okay. But I'm pretty satisfied with that for right now. Get a big overall look at them. It's too big for the camera. I gotta move it slow. I like it. You know, it might even be better that it's a little darker towards the bottom. I'm going to do the Achilles in gold and kind of darken them up and everything a little bit, so that's going to give it a little bit of contrast. Give you a reason to look down towards there. And maybe in the future, not on the stream today because I have to get the materials for it. Oh, jeez. I might get some UV resin and paint the bottom of it blue and maybe put some water in there. Or paint the bottom of it red and make it look like there's some blood in there instead. So that was the Mechanicus Standard Gray. We're now going to do a light dry brush, and this will be the last retouch of this concrete color of Administratum Gray. This is going to be coming only from above. We're not going both directions. We're not doing it heavy. We'll be very quickly wicking it. In fact, I'll be using Citadel's dry medium brush for doing that because I just want to catch those topmost surfaces. And thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment. I think it looks pretty good so far too. I aim to try and have it done before the end of the night. We'll see how it goes. Come on, baby. Should be good enough. So we'll see what comes first. 8 o'clock or me starving. Good on the dry brush here. Work that in. So the only problem with the 3D printed dry brush is it doesn't, the 3D printed dry brush palette is it's not going to draw any of the moisture out of the paint. It's not going to dry the paint. That looks good enough. So we're just going to go very lightly from above. Lightly and quickly. Quick strokes. You can see we can see the highlight just coming off the tops. So we're not pushing too hard. You want to do it quick because it gives the bristles less time to straighten back out before they get to the next set of detail. It's kind of hard to describe. And we'll get a little bit of work down here on the bottom too. Just going to use my hand to take the moisture off the dry brush from now on. That looks good. Very quick. Is it perfect? No. It doesn't have to be. It's terrain. All right. You can see the difference. Side by side. Ah, worlds apart. Such an incredibly easy thing to do. Small, simple steps to produce incredible results. Love to see it. Go on to the other one now. If you noticed, I'm avoiding, for the most part, the top part. I don't want to accidentally get anything on the statue itself, and I'm just going to be painting that band in a metallic color anyway, so giving it its space. Get down to the bottom. Get to the bottom of this. It does. It's unbelievable the kind of difference this kind of stuff makes. Like, I remember when I very first started, I was trying all kinds of crazy stuff. I played Ultramarines when I began because blue is my favorite color, and I thought Space Marines are pretty cool. I didn't even know what the Tau were, or most of the other factions in the game at that point. I was just coming into the game store, fresh off playing Dawn of War, super long time ago. And I took the Marines, I put them together, and I base coated them. I primed them with Macragge blue like everybody does. I still do that part. And I did the base coats for some of the stuff. You know, I put the Retributor armor on the trim. I put the lead belcher on the gun, and I looked at it, and I was like, there's got to be more of this. This is so basic. There's got to be more. And I put Noan oil on it and just slathered it in Noan oil, and holy crap, I thought that was the pinnacle of like painting power. I was like, whoa, look at this. You can see everything. This is crazy. They've been keeping this secret for so long. It's like magic in a pot. That's just the beginning. There's so many different things. And I mean, with the hobby getting so much bigger than it used to be too, all the painting techniques that come online, and different things and whatnot that people do that just so crazy. When you find out how they do it, you're like, no way. Why didn't I think of that? There's so much parallel between what we do in Warhammer with like miniature trains, like hobby scenics and stuff like that. Oh my god, little tricks and if you mix this with this, you get this incredible stuff. No way, give it a shot. You try it and you're like, what have I been doing this whole time? So I'm satisfied with our concrete that we have down here at the base. Oh, the old metal Calgar. I started with 8th edition. So I have 1, 2. I had the old Terminator Calgar before he got the Gravis armor. So I have 3 different versions of Marnius Calgar. I haven't even taken the newest one out of the box yet. I love him. So we're gonna go back up to the top of the statue. This was the Wraithbone base coat with the Ushapti heavy dry brush and the Seraphim sepia mixed with acrylic medium. Now that it's good and dry, we are going to dry brush it with Pallid Witch Flesh. I'm going to take the Army Painter brush bag out. I think I might actually... I'm worried about this getting some of the paint on it, so I'm going to get my other dry brush out. This is the Army Painter Moderate dry brush. Woo! Dust just came off of that. Hold on. Gonna knock the devil out of it. Beat the devil out of it. Because we don't want to reactivate any old paints and get something we don't want on our model. So, I mean, it's nice to have a couple of different dry brushes if you're doing something like this. If you're going to be going back and forth between colors while one thing dries and you're waiting on the other, you don't have to wait. You can just continue to brush and paint the next part of the model. And this should be perfectly okay for what we're doing because I don't have to cover a large surface area with these statues. So, see, this one's nice and relatively clean compared to this one. Do not want that on the model. God forbid. So we'll get Pallid Witch Flesh, which I'm pretty sure I have. I do have it. I have to find it. Where art thou, Pallid Witch Flesh? I do miss my Ultramarines, though. I think the last thing I painted for them was it was the Jump Pack Captain that had come out most recently. I magnetized all of his beats and pieces and painted him up really good. He actually looks really nice. I even gave him got a nice custom printed bit for his head because I wanted him to be extra special. And it came out looking really sick. This is it, actually. There we go. That was a lot of fun. I just keep that here to look at. It makes me happy. You know, you comment about makeup brushes. My makeup brush is up there. It's huge, big, fat makeup brush. That's all dry brushes are. Industry secret. It's just makeup brushes. Just go save money, go buy a bunch of makeup brushes. Same thing. Don't tell anybody. Brush manufacturers hate this one secret. Where is my Pallid Witch Flesh? Maybe I don't have it in a dropper bottle, which would mean it's going to be over here. Oh, pallid witch flesh, where art thou? I know I have you. Usually when I paint my purity seals, there you are. Yeah, every now and then I get a hair up there, and I decide to paint something in the heavy metal style, so it looks like the box art. This is the last thing that I had going on. Let me readjust that lamp. Just got done with this Castellan maybe almost a month ago. I still have to do the base, but that is the box art. At least as close as I can get. Yeah, I'm not the best at eyes, but whatever. I am but man. And we did just finish the Black Templar Marshal 2. I gotta work my bases, you know. One of these days I'm just gonna buckle down and break everybody out their bases and paint all of them. This was done very quickly, very basically. No crazy techniques or methods or anything, just patience and knowledge. Trying to create, you know, get a really good result with minimal effort. Alright. Get to this. Get that nice and stirred up. Just gonna put the wet palette out of the way. Get the dry one back out. There we go. Ooh, Pallid Witch Flesh, you look like you've had better days. Let's work that into the brush. That we've got it, make sure you don't put your hand to it, and we're gonna go striking downwards. Still, we're just highlighting it. I want to catch those edges. And it is pretty basic. Honestly, it's really not that difficult to do a lot of this stuff. I think what most people, or at least people who are like brand new to painting or doing anything like that, they just don't have the same knowledge when it comes to techniques or what paints and what colors to use with one another to get like a lot of contrast and a lot of good looking results. You could take 3 colors that are alike and use them to paint one particular way, and use a different set of 3 colors that are, you know, more knowledgeable in what you're trying to achieve, and paint using the same exact method and get way better results. I used to do a lot of digital and physical artwork, so color theory and everything has just kind of transferred over there with me. Now, I do still look up some other people's recipes and whatnot on how they paint some of this stuff. It's a lot of it that you can kind of put together on your own. There we go. So we just got done dry brushing the Pallid Witch Flesh on this one. We're going to do the same thing on the other guy. The final dry brush we're going to be doing is a very, very light, just white. I'm going to use AK Interactive's white. I'll talk more about it when we get there. It's all learning. Every model is a lesson. I remember looking at all the stuff that people used to do back in the day when I first started, and I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way I'd ever be able to paint anything like that. These people are inhuman. They're crazy. But, you know, breath control, learning how to steady your hands, your palms, proper ways to hold the models and not beat the camera up. Take you a long way. And I'm here for you, alright? I could probably do just a little bit more. Right there. Gotta bring them in line with each other. Okay, that was the Pallid Witch Flesh. We'll go to my AK Interactives. White now, we're going to give that a good mix. Hello, Kundrel, welcome back to the stream. We're painting statues tonight. Or, for the most part, already kind of most of the way through the basic parts of it. Here, so you can actually see it. Check that out, huh? Still trying to find the right white balance for my cream colors. They get kind of washed out, but I'll be posting these on Instagram and Facebook and all that good jazz after the fact. Snap a couple quick photos of it before I cut for dinner, and you'll get an actual view, a look of what it's supposed to look like. We'll probably do some metallic bits on both of these. Here we go. Getting messy with the white. Make sure we're dry on the brush. For lack of paper towel, hand will do. Get that white, work it into the bristles. Okay. And just very, very lightly moving get the other one out of the way. We want just the raised surfaces. Quick and light. These are just for my board. They are terrain pieces. I have scaled them to be the perfect size for the small to medium-sized terrain footprint for 11th edition's table setups. And they will sit right in between a wall of bunkers and barriers. The local games store has a couple of statues of their own, so I can't take them home. But after playing enough games with them on the board, they inspired me to just paint my own and stop being a lazy bum. Just want quick little highlights on these. Okay. And we are good with these statues themselves. We can get the rest of the paint out of the dry brush. So I think we are done with the dry brushing. I'm actually going to get my makeup brush to dust these off with, so give me just 1 second. Ugh. I'll show you my beautiful, beautiful makeup brush. Here she is. I love her. Like 50 cents. I've had it for years. It's brilliant. I first started using it as a dry brush, but it was simply it's too big. It sopped up all the paint and it got right into like the quick of the brush, and as soon as I put it on the model, it was just like and threw paint all over it. So it doesn't need to be like this incredibly large, but you know, the dry brush that you use should be like appropriately sized for the model that you're painting. Like if you're just doing something like this, you don't need a huge dry brush. You could just use something like that, you know? It doesn't have to be huge. People say, you know, use the biggest brush that you can, is what they say. But I don't really. I've never had to do that. I've tried it. I've not noticed a difference other than you just are more likely to hit everything else in the area. So if you're trying to be clean and controlled with your dry brushing, you will lose that. All right. Actually, you know what? Here, we'll just knock it off the whole model. Get some of the dust off of there. That way we just have the paint itself. This is already looking pretty good. Honestly, this would be a perfectly good spot to stop for just having terrain on the table. Never used, so they're in the paint drawer now. Perfect. There you go. If you have a significant other that does makeup, just steal their makeup brushes. Easy. For beginner terrain, I mean, if you really want to go like super cheap and easy with it, make your own. Just make stuff, you know? Soda cans, smash them up, put some crap around it. Just do whatever you want to do. Depends on what you're looking for. If you're talking like buildings or statues or stuff like this, you can go and try to source like super expensive actual official Games Workshop terrain. There's a couple third-party people out there too that will sell their own type of terrain. I've got quite a few collections of like actual like plastic like cities and stuff like that that's just sitting like a dark spot in my mind in the closet, out of sight, out of mind, not begging to be painted for 5 years now. But you could get something like that. What else you could do? If you have anybody you know that has a 3D printer, there is a insane amount of terrain files online in every form you can imagine, from free to paid as well. You can print out a mountain's worth of terrain and just go to town and try out all your different painting techniques, curiosities, and brushes and everything on all of them, because it's super cheap. And if you ruin it, like really ruin it, you just get another one and you're good to go. Terrain is like a super great place to just practice painting, period. Like this is such a good palette cleanser for me, so I don't have to think too hard while I'm doing it. I'm just going through the motions. So we're gonna go to metallic paints now. I'm gonna get back over to my wet palette. Swap it back out for the dry palette. Hopefully I didn't just put my wet palette down in wet paint. I didn't. Put that to the side. Go. New home. Tutorials for our daily structures I think I can copy. Oh yeah, just recently they did like the Exodite world stuff. You can actually go straight to Games Workshop's website. I think they uploaded documents. If you have the right paper size, you can print them out, cut them out, stick them together. I mean, you can't paint it then, but because it's paper. I mean, I guess you could paint the paper, but whatever. You can still cut it out and use it as a stencil to cut out some foam or some cardboard. I wouldn't do cardboard. Don't listen to that. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can do if you want to try to do some of that stuff. The sky's the limit with terrain. Or, you know, if you really want to do it, if you know anybody who bought a new TV or a new appliance, maybe you have access to a lot of like styrofoam pieces. I used to make like entire fortresses and stuff out of like just like packaging styrofoam, because a lot of it, when you turn it certain ways and like put it on its side, it looks like fortress walls, castle walls, and stuff like that. And that's perfect for like super cheap terrain. There you go. landing pads are great too. You learn a lot about painting large flat surfaces when you're doing things like landing pads. I have the Sky Shield landing pad that's holding the majority of my Imperial Guard infantry on it. Maybe I'll paint that on stream. I don't know. I'd have to move my camera around because it's like this big. Too big. Too big for stream. I'll be moving it around under the camera like this, trying to paint little bits and pieces. That sounds like a pain. Anyway, that's enough yapping. I keep doing all this talking. This is a painting stream. I need to get it together. Nobody's ever gonna watch me. Okay, so we're gonna get the gold out first. It feels right. I love Retributor armor. It's my favorite color. It tastes so good. There you go. You should have a whole abundance of styrofoam and different packing products and everything like that. They're really great for it. They really are. There's so many household items, so much trash that can be recycled and just used for practice until you're confident enough to actually put paint on plastic and start getting some more expensive and nicer pieces. Okay, I'm thinking I'm going to do the halo in gold. I really like the way that looks. This gold is going to be shaded with Reichland Flesh Shade when the time comes, and then we're going to highlight it with Retributor armor once more, and we will finish with a tip highlight of Stormhost Silver, just so it pops at the top. See, I never really feel too terribly bad about, when I do go a little bit above and beyond on painting terrain. I know it's not a waste, because it doesn't matter what models or what army I'm playing, the terrain will always be on the board. And it can't be destroyed. So it'll be there all 5 rounds. Should we get the inside? Be very careful not to paint over what we've already done. To poke in behind there. I don't think you guys can see me doing this on camera, so sorry. How do we feel about the gold halo? I like it. Yes, now you're getting it! Distract the opponent with beautifully painted terrain and alcohol. And alcohol. If they're at least 21 years of age. Or whatever your given country's age of legal alcohol consumption is. No, we're not all from US of A. Okay, what can we do? Don't want to overdo metallics. So, just gonna get in there. Just like that. Then we'll flip ourselves over. We're gonna do our killers. Although I did kind of like the way they looked black, that was kind of nice. We're going to paint them gold anyway. They're going to contrast very sharply against the black of the concrete. These statues have 1, 2, 3, 4. How many sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides on each of them. There is an eagle on each side. That is 12 eagles. 6 eagles per statue. And 2 statues makes 12 eagles. That's a lot of eagles. That's a lot of painting. Okay, here we go. Still going to take my time with them. You try and speed up. That's when you make mistakes. Smooth is fast. After all, I think I'll go in after the fact and do a drop of red and the little circle that is inside of them. Push that brush off. Woo! That sounds like a good time. Definitely do not do as much as I used to in that regard, that is for sure. Not that I ever did a whole lot, but wanting to lose weight was a very large contributor to the already meager amount that I consumed. Nowadays, I just have a margarita every now and then. Or a cold one over a game of Warhammer. But that truly is the secret to victory. Distract your opponent or get them inebriated so they can't focus. Even better if you both get inebriated. Then who cares who wins? If your opponent loses consciousness during the game, it's victory by default. You don't have to make it to Battle Round 5. You just have to make it to the 5th beer. It's all fun and games until the other guy shows up with a Long Island mixing station. Or pack it up. Let the team know you ain't cutting it. I suppose that kind of depends on whatever it is that you're looking for. Like, I know when I go to tournaments, especially larger events and things like that, put in a good, honest effort when you first start out. Maybe you make it 3 wins, maybe you make it 4 wins, and then you finally lose a game, and now you're playing with everybody else. And when you're playing with everybody else, that's when the real fun begins for some of us, you know? But clear plastic rods to simulate flotation. Well, I mean, they were using plastic rods on flying bases for a super long time, and that seemed to be enough for most people. Do I like them? They're, it's kind of like a weak point to the model, really, where if it breaks, and they do, maybe not all the time, but when they do break, now you've got a problem on your hands. Nowadays, when I have flying models, which I don't have a lot of them. I play Imperial Guard for the most part now. I try to find a way to incorporate it into the base itself. So, like if I were doing something like my Valkyrie that is still waiting to be painted and falling into pieces, I would probably you try to find the height that it's supposed to be at, and then build up terrain to reach the height, so it kind of looks like it's like making a pass over on a building, and you can fill the difference with some smoke and everything. That way it's more connected to a larger base and cloud, and you don't have to worry about it breaking. And I find that scenic bases like that for large flying objects look cooler to begin with. GW's, with their newer models and everything that they make that flies nowadays, they seem to have stepped away from the clear rods super, super hard by just making everything look like they're kind of jumping a little bit. Do I think that looks better? No. But that's what people do. Like, that had bothered me enough to the point that when I had got my... when I finally got around to painting my... They're not Devastators. They're Space Marine jump pack units. There's so many now. They wear Gravis armor. They have plasma guns or their own miniature handheld heavy bolters. I didn't like the flight base. It broke on me, actually, and I couldn't get it to stick to the model anymore no matter what I did. So I just ended up 3D printing the smoke that people have designed that you attach straight to the base. It's the same height, and it goes straight into the backpack, so it looks like they're actually like blowing themselves off the floor. You could do that too, but then they're just floating on a black rod. Intercessors are the infantry, basic infantry unit. Inceptors. They're called Inceptors. Space Marine Inceptors. They came with the acrylic clear flying rods. They look corny, but when you do something like the aftermarket smoke plume bits that they float on, just look way cooler. But it is what it is. I guess it really depends on what you're trying to do with it. If you were taking photographs and trying to do like studio level stuff with it, if you were less concerned about functionality in the game, then you could do something like black rods, and in post you can just edit the black rods out so it looks like it's actually, flying. So people do all kinds of different things for many different reasons. It's all personal preference. I also did a set of custodian, whatchamacallsums. They're bikes, Dawn Eagle jet bikes. They also had the clear plastic acrylic rods. I got a couple of friends that play custodians, and theirs break all the time, and you can totally see how that could happen. They're very fragile and very top-heavy models. It's a lot of weight on that little acrylic rod. But, some creative people out there have designed this absolutely wicked looking like cloud that it's like turning. It makes it look like it's like moving and turning on the cloud. That completely replaces the acrylic clear rod. Just looks so much better. I got a bunch of those done for my Dawn Eagles. And it gets a lot of compliments, especially if you bring it out in public, if you go to tournaments and stuff like that. People notice that kind of stuff. Anything that doesn't naturally come on the model, it draws their attention in one way or another. If you were asking about whether or not tournaments are fun, wasn't sure. Derpits. It depends, I guess it depends on what you want to get out of it. I like to win. I like to try to win until I don't. And when I don't win, then it's just whatever. You can have your own fun with it. And if you're going with friends and other people that are a good time as well, then it's never not fun, right? I mean, I'd like to imagine people wouldn't be going to tournaments to play a miniatures game if they weren't having fun doing it to begin with. It's kind of like a social contract between you and the other person, and anybody else who's there to agree to play with you as well. That's not to say that there aren't people who aren't miserable anyway, and then come to things like Warhammer tournaments and make everybody else miserable too. But you just can't let those people affect your fun. Did make a little bit of boo-boo. See that little gold piece right there? Like, if you really want to have fun at a tournament, if you want to absolutely have fun at a tournament, go in, play your first game, lose. Not on purpose, don't throw the match. But if you lose, it's okay. The day's not over. In fact, it might even become a little better, because when you go to the bottom tables, when you start playing against the other people that have lost in their first round, second round, whatever, that's when you start to run into some of the quirky people with the crazy lists, like some guy with 100-something Termagants, just an insane amount of Termagants and Hormagant models. Is he going to win his games? No. But he's going to give you one hell of a cinematic experience when you beat him in the bottom tables. And you're going to have the most fun 3-hour game you've ever had of Warhammer. Yep, the catechins. Let me see. I still got mine. Hold on. Where are they at? Where are you guys at? Over here. Here we go. Ugh. They're not the metal ones, but... This is Duke Nukem. Yeah. Still here. Still here. Not going anywhere. Actually, no, if you're talking about the 90s ones, maybe I think you might be the ones before it, if they're metal. Well, no, because I think they did those guys in metal too, and then eventually did them in plastic. I don't know. There you go. Basilisk and Vindicare combo. Test to force the enemies off the table, turn 1. Oh, well, that sounds like a really fun time. For somebody. Let's see. Do I need to do another coat of gold? I don't think so. Put him to the side. Actually, I think I will. I'm just going to run over the Halo one more time. There have been some interesting rule interactions with this game throughout the year, I'll tell you what. They managed to tone some of it down for the most part. In doing so, they might have stripped some of the flavor from the game, but what can you do? It's a small price to pay to know that when I show up to the store to play against somebody, I'm not going to be going home in 30 minutes when it took me 40 minutes to get there. Like my first bad time, my first toxic game mechanic that just made me sit there and wonder what I was doing playing this game. It was 8th edition Eldar, Craft World Eldar. They had the Spirit Stones that I don't remember the rule exactly, I just remember what it did. If you killed one of their units, if they killed one of your units, if somebody died near one of the Eldar models, one of them could activate their Spirit Stones, and they would get ooh, excuse me. Oh, gosh. They'd get an out-of-turn charge, so they would just interrupt your turn and get to charge you. They could also, I thought, I could swear they could shoot as well. They could double move. There was so much crazy stuff that they could do. Oh, they had a psychic ability that let you move twice, and you could charge after you did that. So you would move, you would advance, you'd get the psychic thing that would make you double move. You would still get the bonus to your movement from the advance. So they would make their warlock conclaves or whatever just move 48 inches across the board in your turn and then charge you, and absolutely wreck your stuff in your turn. And then their turn would come, and they just do it all over again. Oh my lord, did I hate that. The store that I played at too, the store owner was very creative with his terrain. Bless his heart. Love him to death. He had some of the most creative boards that you would ever see. He had such a huge terrain collection. All of it was like handmade, hand-painted, custom stuff that made for a really good-looking table, but an absolute nightmare to play on. Like, you were asking for pain trying to play on these boards. It was definitely a test. Like, when we had people from out of town come to the tournaments that we hosted, it was always such a shock to them to see how the board layouts were. It was a completely different meta because of the terrain. And it just made everything so unique. Yes, the Slaneshi snack stones. Tasty souls. Hello, Rubes. Welcome to the stream. Why'd the music stop? What are you doing over there? Oh, music ended. Hold on. Has it been that long already? Having so much fun. Lost track of time. Uno momento, por favor, señorita. There we go. Yeah, those spirit stones can eat it. That, and I started playing, I started with the Ultramarines, and then I went to Tau. I played Tau, and I love the Tau. Had so much fun with the Tau. Oh my god. Riptides. Amazing. But they hit on 5s? 4s. They hit on 5s back then. I think they still do. Something insane. And, you know, you had to marker light your way to success. You know, it was like if you got one marker on them, they lost the benefit of cover. You got 2, then you got, I don't know, 1 was +1 to hit, 2 was the benefit of cover, 3 was like reroll all hit rolls or something like that. I don't remember. But the reason I bring it up, if you played against Eldar, and they had something like any of the flyers, I think it was like the Void Raven, Void Jet, whatever, Void Bomber, it doesn't matter. Any of their flyers. Back then, they were psychers too. I think they are still today. But, you know, obviously the psychic rules have changed in the game. But they had that one psychic power that gave them a -1 to hit. So you had the -1 to hit from being supersonic, or airborne, or whatever it was. The -1 to hit from the psychic power, which meant that you needed a 7 to hit them. And this was before a 6 guarantee to hit. So that was it. You played Tau. You hit on 5s. No, you don't. You hit on 7s. And I want you to look at that dice. I want you to look at this dice. See this dice? You know what's not on there? I don't see it. Nope. No 7. Take that. So you had to pray to the Omnissiah, the, you know, whatever, that your Cotter Fireblade, who I think they hit on 3s or 2s. They hit on 2s. They hit on 2s back then. You had to pray that his marker light that you paid for, you better hope you brought it, that model first. You always had to start with the Cotter Fireblade, because he would be hitting on 4s. And if you got that one 50-50 roll, and you spent the CP for the reroll if you had to, if you got it, you were set, because then you would use some stratagem that they had. It was like targeting whatever, and you would add D3 additional marker light tokens to it, and that would get you to the +1 to hit. And then you would open up with the rest of your army and actually be able to hit the thing, but you'd still be hitting on like 5s or 6s. It was miserable. Yeah, that was it. You just lost. Like this flyer just flew around the board and did whatever it wanted. You know, just fly right up to your stuff. What are you doing over there, bud? And just shoot you. As long as he kept that psychic power up, as long as he didn't fail the psychic test, which they never did because they're Eldar. God, psychic phase. Then you just had this nightmare bowling around the board, just knocking all your stuff off the game the entire time. Like that was such a nightmare to deal with that the guy I play with on Sundays, actually Colby, he was the one that exposed this to me. I love him. I don't love his army. He's the one that showed that to me. And I didn't know what to do. That was the best that I could do. And turned out that was the only answer. The only thing that you could do. So stuff like that was very interesting and very fun. But would I want that back? No. I think I'll do just fine without it. In fact, I'm experiencing it still kind of a little bit to this day. Maybe not to the same degree that it's unplayable to beat against, but with the changes that they made to cover in 11th edition, no longer modifies your save. Now it incurs a -1 to be hit towards your opponent. And playing guard, who for the most part hit on 4s. Hitting on 5s is not good. You don't get a lot done hitting on 5s. You take aim, it'll bring you back down to a 4, and it's kind of just been like completely incentivized that you take something like a Hellhound or at least one of the detachments that's capable of stripping cover from enemy units, either through stratagems or whatever it is that the detachment grants you. Then you're in for some chop. You're in for a bad time. Super bad time. You better hope you're lucky. Ugh. I love Achilles. I love painting Achilles. Achilles and skulls. Achilles and skulls. Oh my gosh, I can see the light at the end. There's so many of these to paint that by the time I make it around to the start, the paint's dried and I could just keep going. It does have me itching for another tournament, though. I'm excited because I've actually got a full set of, I've kind of just been playing casual armies and what I've had built here on the stream and locally and when my friends show up to play a game. But I now have my tournament list built and assembled. And I know Guard aren't doing too hot in the meta right now, but I don't know. Part of me still thinks that's more of a skill issue. Although I definitely see what people are talking about. I'd like to go to some tournaments again and try my luck. Here we go. Once more around on the Achilles with that second base coat of that Retributor armor. Then we'll do a touch on the halo above. We'll give them the Reichland Flesh Shade Blaze, or Shade, I mean. And then go back around with Retributor Armor and do some little highlights here and there. And I do hope that you find the time and the will and desire to do some more painting here soon. Just remember the basics. Then your paints. Take your time. There's no such things as mistakes, only happy accidents. You know, I see you saying, I guess we die then. Which is about how it felt dealing with the Eldar Flyers, but then I remember what happened in 9th edition, I think it was, when Tau hit absolute breakneck full stride. And I remember exactly what it was. It was a local terror. It was so bad. I had people come in on tournament days, see me there and go, "Oh, hey, it's good to see you. What are you playing?" And then looking at my Tau army and saying, "Nope." Actually had somebody pack up and go home once. Just seeing what I had. It was a smaller game store, so it was a close community. I want to say there was maybe 13 or 14 of us that played very frequently. And they were familiar with it by that point. The list back then, if you wanted people to feel the pain, which you can't do anymore, unfortunately, although it was very fun when I could do it, was triple Riptide with drones and commanders and Cotter Fireblades. But when I say drones, I don't mean a handful of them, I mean a swarm of drones. He's a big orc player. He played a lot of orcs. He saw the Tau and he said, "Nope, I know where this is going." The rules interaction at the time was absolutely asinine. The Riptides hit on 4s. The Cotter Fireblade with their marker lights, which you brought 3 of them, would hit 3 different targets and make the Riptides hit on 3s, and that's all you needed. And you would use their Nova reactors to overcharge their high output burst cannons, and you would just mow everything down with absolute unrelenting, massive amounts of firepower from the Riptides. They were impossible to kill. Their toughness was super high. It was like 7 or something at the time, which is, if I remember correctly, I think it was 7. That was a lot. They hadn't bumped the toughness up like they have it now. So you need an anti-tank weapons to kill them. And if you had the drones next to them, which you took shield drones, swarms of shield drones, you'd have full units of them, and they would be hidden in terrain or something nearby. The Riptide would get targeted, it would get shot by something like a las cannon. Then they needed to roll a 3 up to make the wound. They made the wound, and then you would roll the save on the Riptide, and if you failed the save, then you would roll to put it on the drone. And the drone would turn it into a single damage against the drone. And the shield drones, they had a feel no pain on a 5 up. So you had a 1/3 chance to completely negate it. There was no limit to this. So as long as you had shield drones, they could keep taking shots for the Riptide. And the Riptide had a 2 up natural save too, so if they tried to put like small arms fire at you, you just put it on the 2 up, or you put it up on the 4 up invuln that it had. It was so horrible. It was so horrible. I regret none of it. Oh man, it felt so good. The legitimate reign of terror that I had with those models was so much fun. I had to explain it to people. You know, I didn't take it out to the casual games. We still had casual games outside of that, but I would tell them ahead of time, like, hey, if you guys want to practice against this, if you want to learn how to beat it, because there is a way, you know, feel free to meet me at the store. Let me know. don't wait till the tournament to try to figure out how to beat this, because you're not going to be able to. I already know how this is going to go. And that was just a lot of fun for a long time. COVID ended up stopping that, fortunately. Okay. Oh, what else do I want to do? Maybe I do gold on this part too. Maybe. What time is it? It's 7:40. I think we can do that. No. I think if we end up having to stop here soon, the silver is where it's going to end. I'm going to do some silver on the blade, the destroyed blade. Put the metallic there. I do have to figure out what I'm doing for dinner still. It's 7:40 where I am located. Boy, a bit more than I wanted. Okay. We are going to go to town on this. Just want the blade. Oh, it's going to be super easy tonight. Probably just swing through old Mickey D's. Keep it simple, keep it sweet on myself. Might even do silver on the chain, but that might have to wait until maybe next week. Oh! I just painted on the statue. Going too fast. Gotta slow it down. Get around to the bottom. Now, we'll see how much time we have left after we're done painting the silver on the sword. I do, at the very least, want to wash the silver and the gold. That way that has time to dry and set, and I don't have to sit here and babysit it. There we go. I think that looks way better than otherwise. 20 nuggets in a chalky shake. Oh yeah! I'll probably be settling with the old Quappy Pondy. Get a Quappy Pondy. No room for the chalky shocky though. Sometimes I'll do that on Sunday. You know, I'm on a calorie budget, okay? I'm trying to maintain my girlish figure here. I got like 1,600 to 1,700, 700 to work with. And turns out that a medium meal of the Quappy Poppy with the Chalky Shocky and medium size is just roundabout to about 1,600. But that also means I'm not eating anything else for the entire rest of the day, so, you know, gotta make it count. It's the price I pay for the sleazy, greasy, you know? I could totally crush a 20 count chicken egg, though. That makes me think of the, you know, I think the last time I had chicken eggs was when we were crushing them in the parking lot of the golf. That was so funny. Oh, I can't eat all of them. What do we do? Just give them to me, whatever. Slurp, slurp. Our little guys didn't stand a chance. All right. We'll check on them, make sure we're good. Look at that. What a nice little touch, huh? Oh, there you go, yeah. Eat. Protein. Well, maybe not protein. That'll make you feel full. But you should probably get protein regardless. It's hard. It's hard to eat more, you know? I used to eat a lot. But then losing like 120, 130 pounds, something ridiculous like that. Getting used to eating so little. And like just thinking about what I used to eat now is just impossible. You know, hanging out with friends that I haven't seen in a while or and stuff like that. And, hey, let's go to this restaurant. You sit down and that huge like 9-ounce sirloin that you used to crush and have like 2 beers with it and a bunch of bread rolls and some, you know, steak fry sides and mashed potatoes that you just put that away and be done. Make it like halfway through that and I'm ready to die. Ugh. It's hard. Maybe we do silver. Okay, so we know what we gotta. I'm liking this more and more the more metallics I put on it. So next stream, next Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll probably be picking up and doing more of the metallics. I'm thinking we'll do gold here. Maybe bronze? Maybe bronze? Vote the poll! There is no poll! Bronze here. Probably do silver on the rivets. Gold on the reliquary. Silver chain. We have some silver up here. And if we're feeling particularly crazy, we can do red on the book. And maybe even do like a little bit of like a more some white or something on the pages so it looks more like a realistic book. But then that's it. No more. Otherwise we're just painting a man, not a statue. Alright, well, here, you can look at it. Make sure they don't go anywhere. While I close this down and say, hey, man, who wants to look at my ugly mug? Here we go. They do look pretty good, don't they? You know, I was trying to make them look pretty good. Take some pictures with the Black Templar next to them. Got some scenic shots. Take a couple of nice photos of him looking all snazzy. Later on, when I get some time. But thank you for joining me. I appreciate having you here. I'm going to go over this. And tell you that you don't have to go home. In fact, you might already be there. But you definitely cannot stay here. I gotta turn the lights off. I gotta close the doors. That's it. Last call's over. Thank you for joining me here on the Crimson Bench. You can find all my other stuff and everything on YouTube too. All of these are recorded and just uploaded raw to YouTube until I find time to learn the skill of video editing. But that time is not now. I could be painting instead, and that's what I'm doing. So, yeah, find me again. Thanks. I'll have the Discord set up eventually. And we could talk all the time. You could show me the stuff that you're painting too, which you should do. But I'm gone. Goodbye. Thank you.